Hey there, Pastor Al here on this Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, and I'm grateful to be with you today. Hopefully you're spending time tomorrow with family, planning to spending some time just relaxing and having some fellowship, but maybe you're even lucky enough to have Friday off, and if that's the case, good for you. Hopefully you can spend a great weekend just relaxing and kind of getting refreshed before the work week next week. Whichever the case may be, clearly tomorrow, we set aside one day a year to be thankful. And of course, you know that you've been told before, and I'll say it again, that we shouldn't just be thankful one day a year. And what good practice is that we thank God for the things that we normally take for granted. And there are things that I take for granted all the time that God has given me that I on Thanksgiving Day try to take some extra time to thank Him for the things like even my cars starting when they should, or that things didn't break that could have broken, or that maybe I repaired something and it went well. There are things we can be thankful for. And in Philippians chapter 4, Paul has a great verse to remind us about being thankful. And you probably know this verse, it's probably familiar to you, but I'll read it for you, and then we'll just talk about it for a couple of minutes here in our time together. Be anxious for nothing, Paul says, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. And I think that it's really important for us to remember that with this type of prayer, it's not about us being anxious for an answer. It's about us relying and trusting on God. There are times we go to prayer in desperation, crises that come up that we need God's attention to and we need His help with that come up all of a sudden, and we just find out we're desperately in need of Him. There are other times, however, that when we have needs, they are maybe ones we've had for a while, and we just need to make sure that whatever we're bringing to God, that we bring all things to Him, first of all, but all things with thanksgiving. And when we supplicate before God, when we pray, we're being supplication before Him, we are just recognizing the fact that we need His help, that we can't do this on our own. So Paul here is saying, in all things, be anxious for nothing. In all things, don't be anxious. That means trust Him with all things, but in everything. And so that doesn't leave out anything. And so everything stands for all that there is. And certainly when we bring things that we normally would keep from God or think we can handle ourselves, God can't use that situation to show Himself mighty. He can't use that situation to glorify Himself. And He really wants us to trust Him with the small things as well as the big things. Maybe you're like me and you've given a lot of big things to God in the past, but some of the small things you think, well, it's just too small for Him to have to worry about. I'll take care of this. But Paul is saying all things, no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter how trivial they may be, God still cares to meet our need. God still wants to be the answer to our prayer. God still wants to help us with the things we don't think are as important. And so I want you just to get this idea in your head that God is looking out for your very best interest, and He wants to show Himself mighty to you if you allow Him to. And on Thanksgiving Day, it's one of those days where you can take extra time maybe and just tell God how thankful you are for the little things He's done for you. And who knows what that list might be like for you. I know what my list is like. I know the things that I take for granted occasionally that I fail to thank God for. And here's a kind of a moment of logic for you. And we always ask God for things. We ask God to move in certain ways. We ask God for things in this world and for His answer to our prayers. But if we're not thankful for what He's already done, why would He give us any more? And I think that's a really good thought to keep in our mind as we pray, being thankful, putting ourselves in a place of submission before Him, letting Him know that we're thankful for everything. So tomorrow, when you go into your time of your prayer closet or you're reading the Word, take an extra few moments and thank God for the things that you normally would take for granted. No matter how small, no matter how trivial you might think they are, they're still important to God, and He wants to be thanked for them. May you find that an encouragement today, and as always, have your great Thanksgiving Day in Jesus.